Genesis 3:7 follows the disobedience of Adam and Eve in Genesis 3:6. After they both eat the forbidden fruit, their perception changes immediately. This verse describes the first consequences of their sin, marking the loss of their innocence and the introduction of shame and self-awareness in a way not previously experienced. Verse 7, "And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons." Key phrases: the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together, and made themselves coverings. In Hebrew, the concepts for these phrases are as follows. 1. The eyes of both of them were opened. Vattippaqachnah einei sheneihem. Vattippaqachnah, then were opened, indicating a sudden realization or awareness. Einei sheneihem, the eyes of both of them, showing that this effect was immediate and mutual. 2. And they knew that they were naked. Vayedeu ki erumimhem. Vayedeu, and they knew, meaning gained knowledge, awareness, or realization. Ki erumimhem, that they were naked, revealing a newfound sense of exposure and vulnerability. 3. And they sewed fig leaves together. Vattippaqachnah aleiteena. Vattippaqachnah, and they sewed, indicating human effort to cover themselves. Aleiteena, fig leaves, a temporary and inadequate covering. 4. And made themselves coverings. Vaya'asu lahem chagorot. Vaya'asu, and made, showing an intentional action to resolve their newfound shame. Lahem, for themselves, suggesting self-reliance rather than dependence on God. Chagorot, coverings or loincloths, indicating a minimal attempt at modesty. The eyes of both of them were opened. This phrase indicates a shift in perception. Before eating the fruit, Adam and Eve were naked but felt no shame, Genesis 2:25. Now, their awareness has changed, signifying the immediate spiritual and psychological consequences of sin. Their eyes being opened fulfills the serpent's claim, Genesis 3:5, but not in the way they expected. It brings guilt, not enlightenment. And they knew that they were naked. Previously, nakedness was a symbol of innocence. Now it becomes a source of shame. The knowledge they gained was not empowering but convicting, exposing their vulnerability and separation from God. And they sewed fig leaves together. Instead of turning to God, Adam and Eve attempt to fix their problem by their own means. Fig leaves, however, are an inadequate covering, symbolizing human efforts to deal with sin apart from God's provision. This foreshadows the insufficiency of human works for righteousness. And made themselves coverings. Their response to guilt is self-made solutions, highlighting the human tendency to avoid accountability. However, this act does not remove their shame, it only covers it superficially. Later, in Genesis 3:21, God provides them with garments of skin, pointing to the need for divine provision and possibly foreshadowing the necessity of sacrifice for atonement. This verse marks the first manifestation of sin's consequences: guilt, shame, and separation. Rather than leading to divine-like wisdom, as the serpent suggested, their new knowledge results in fear and self-consciousness, showing that disobedience to God brings unintended and painful consequences.